Hey there, Bruce, and welcome back to the Game of Fortune. We finished our hike, and it is time to kick off with the next game. I believe we're working towards Kishi's ending, but only time will tell. So let's carry on from where we left off, shall we? Does your dad always manage to get in trouble like that? Not intentionally, but yes. Well, hopefully they don't mess him up too badly. He'll be fine. I'm sure if they rough him up too much, Belle will take care of him, or something. Something the matter, Zeph? I was just wondering about something Philip said. You two have a history? Yeah, nothing that important though. What are you, like exes or something? Your dad set you two up? Zeph. What, I'm just curious. No, we never had a relationship like that. Honestly, I haven't seen Kishi in a long time. I mean, there was the whole incident that happened 4 years ago, but that was... Well, we didn't really get a chance to chat back then. Yeah, I get that. And how do you two know one another? I was a babysitter when she was like a toddler. What? Yeah, a long while back, my dad knew Grandma used to be on good terms, but I think the relationship soured. I think they were trying to reconnect using the two of us, but it didn't really work out. What, were you a terrible babysitter or something? Well, for starters, I probably was 8, not exactly the most responsible person to be watching a rambunctious 4-year-old. I wasn't rambunctious. I don't remember that well. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. But the point is, my dad and her grandma weren't able to reconcile whatever issues they had with one another, so it was a short-lived thing. So it's not really like worrying about it or anything. Oh, that's it. Well, you're worried I had a thing for goths all of a sudden. Kishi jabbed Zeph in the chest and the skater couldn't help but turn his head away in embarrassment. No, of course not. I'm not insecure enough to think that Richard would be a threat to our relationship. I mean, yeah, duh. Still, it's kind of weird you both are kind of close in age. I mean, if Philip and Kishi's grandmother were around the same age, you'd expect their kids to be around the same age too. But you're just the son of Philip, and Kishi's her grandmother's, well, granddaughter. You'd think there'd be a much bigger age gap between the two of you. My dad didn't settle down until later in life. And her grandma is immortal. My grandma was the opposite. She got married and had kids pretty early in her life. Same with my mum. Guess life just works in weird ways. Life is strange, isn't it? We each turned to the television screen in the room. Reminiscing about the past, are we? Something like that. Ah, how time flies. Don't you feel nostalgic looking back at the past? Seeing how big things change over such a short amount of time? If I'm being honest, that's a little hard for me. Sometimes the past isn't quite as memorable as we make it out to be. Maybe it's just because I have a long memory that I have a lot of fondness for the past. Compared to me, you're all like embryos. You couldn't just say babies? No, I think embryos is the right descriptor. How old are you? Didn't your father just go into some wild mess because he dared to assume a lady's age? You can just assume that I've been around for quite a long time. Well, she is a god, I guess you would have been around for quite some time. Exactly. So long that your feeble little minds wouldn't be able to comprehend it. But enough of that. Shall we get into the main course? It's game time, so let's start the roulette. Again, the screen changed to show the shifting game types we would play. Not that I felt especially pressed about any one in particular. After all, I was here for myself at this point. Granted, wasn't everyone? And yet, there might have been some advantage in not having to worry about anyone but yourself. No one to hold you back, no one to fret over, no one you have to hustle for. But maybe that kind of thing gave you an advantage too. Either way, there wasn't much point in worrying about it. The game would continue one way or another. And as the roulette slowed down, it would become clear what we would have to play. Ugh. A 3 versus 1 game. Who's ready to team up and take someone down a peg? Who's ready to fight tooth, nail, and fang against the majority to survive? There was a palpable silence which only made Belle frown. Well, in that case, it'll have to be either Kishi or Zeph in the single one because she'll want to break the groups up. You 4 need to get your heads in gear. You're fighting for your life, you know. I think we all are here. We all are, Belle, regardless of our lack of enthusiasm. Maybe we're just tired. Tired, huh? Just need something to kickstart that fight or flight response then. I wouldn't say that you need to go that far. No worry, Devon. I think I know just the game to get your blood pumping and your mind racing. We're going to play Jack of Hearts. Huh? Oh, whoops, I'm probably not legally allowed to use such a blatant rip-off. Let's call it Trust Call. Like trustful? Exactly, now you pick it up on my wordplay. It wasn't particularly hard to figure out. So what are the teams? I'm guessing you're just going to split us up before we play, right? Well, that's the fun part, Zeph. For this game, I'm not going to tell you what the teams are. What? Isn't that exciting? You'll have to fret and wonder who's on your side and who's trying to get one over on you. Is that Can you do that? I don't see why I wouldn't be able to do that. It'll make more sense once you enter the game room. See you soon. And just like that, the television screen went blank. I don't think I've ever known Belle to make a game like this. Usually she always says what the teams are. Do you remember any games like that, Kishi? Can't say I have. Even the last time she was unusually clear-cut with the teams and instructions. She was usually clear-cut, sorry. Last time? You mean like the first game? Oh yeah, I guess you wouldn't know about it, would you, Devon? Kishi and I played these games 4 years ago. What? Is that much of a surprise? I mean, yeah, kind of. First of all, you both played through here and survived? Hell yeah, we did. We're just that amazing. But then, why the hell would you choose to come back? And how'd you do it? How'd you both survive a game that only has one winner? You could say we're tenacious and don't give up easily. Even so, why would you come back? Don't you think it'd be hard enough to get through these games once? Well, that... Zeph quieted down and looked at Kishi for an answer. It wasn't exactly something that we wanted to do willingly. You were forced? You were forced to be a part of this game again? That's fucked up. Hey, let's not get caught up in the weeds of all that. Zeph pulled our attention back toward the doors leading to the game room. We got a game to play. Let's not mess around too long before Belle gets pissed or something. Come on, Kishi. Yeah. Kishi let out a soft sigh before following Zeph into the game room. Such determined eyes, hiding so much pain and sorrow. Huh? Oh, he fumbled around with his words before pulling his scarf up. Apparently he'd completely forgot that I was still in the room. Nothing. Well, let's get into the game now, shall we? Richard scurried away without giving me a chance to even ask a clarifying question. Why was everyone here so fucking weird? Whatever, I'll just play to win and hope that everything goes well. A mansion? We're going to play a game in a mansion? Considering that we just played a game in some great outdoor arena, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Welcome to my humble abode. This is where you live? Zeph looked around the mansion before turning back to Belle. Kinda gaudy, to be honest. Zip it, mister. I didn't ask for your professional take on how I decorate my mansion. Besides, I have lots of places where I live. Sometimes it's a beach house, other times it's a mountain villa. And I'm sure it's all gaudy all the same. So how exactly do we go about playing this trust call game exactly? I'm glad you asked, Devon. Let me give you a rundown on the rules. Trust Call is a social deductive game where the three of you will try to find a hidden traitor among your group. It works like this. Belle pulled out a metallic collar from behind her back and showed it to us. Each of you are going to have to put this metallic collar on your neck. Oh joy. That can only be a good thing. It will be because this collar will either spell your doom or your survival. See, on the back of the collar there's a section that will display one of 4 symbols. A heart, a halo, an infinity symbol, and a skull. The display on the back of the collar shifted to show each symbol. You'll have around 44 minutes to do whatever you want around the mansion, but in your final 4 minutes you must enter one of these rooms, lock the door, and then announce out loud what you think the symbol on your collar is. If you're right, then nothing happens. If you say nothing, or say the wrong symbol, then... The collar in Belle's hand beeped ominously before exploding in a violent flash of blue smoke. Of course, Belle was fine and simply dusted herself off and fanned away the smoke. Kaboom! The collar will detonate. Obviously, since it's right next to your head, you can guess what's going to happen, right? Yeah, crystal clear. Excellent! Well, let's move on to some more important rules, shall we? First things first, you cannot possess any reflective surfaces on your person. Hand me any phones, pocket mirrors, or anything like that now. Can't you just poof that stuff away if you wanted to? Well, of course I can, Devon, but I want to build some trust between us, you know? Whatever. We all handed Belle our phones. Anything else that might have counted as a reflective surface. Good. Naturally, this whole mansion also follows that rule. There are no reflective surfaces here. The mirrors have been adjusted. The water is soup, and the glasses are transparent. Point being, you won't be able to get any clear reflections off anything. Alright, that makes sense. Good. So on to the rules themselves. 1. You cannot stop someone from entering into a room. So no hostage taking, restraining, or anything like that. 2. You cannot prevent another player from being able to announce the symbol on their collar. This means you can't gag anyone, you can't chop their throat, you can't kill anyone. If you're going to rough someone up, make sure they can at least speak by the end of it. I looked at the others. I hoped they would not resort to any real violence, but anything was possible. 3. There can be no more than one person in a locked room. If a room is locked, and there are 2 or more people inside, then everyone inside that room will have their collars explode. That seems a little harsh, don't you think? Nah, it's perfectly fine. But that covers all the rules. So, why don't we get to the win conditions next? For the group of 3, you will win if the traitor dies. Simple as that, don't you think? Yeah, that does sound simple. So how does the solo player win? couple of ways, actually. The solo player will win if two of the innocents or trios end up dying while the traitor is still alive. In other words, if there are only two players left alive and one of them is the traitor, then the traitor will win. Of course, if all three of the trios end up dying, then that counts as a win as well. There's also another win condition that you should all be aware of. If after 4 rounds of play the traitor has not been killed, then they will have won. You're putting the trio on a timer? That's not fair. I like to think it's fair. After all, we can't stay here forever. 4 rounds should be plenty of time for the trio to come up with a solution to win. Anyway, that should do for the rules. Any questions? I have one, and it's in regards to the rules regarding who can enter what room. You said that no one can stop someone from entering a room. Does that apply to locked rooms too? I mean, it'd be stupid to die because you didn't let someone into a locked room. I suppose I should have clarified. That rule only applies to unlocked rooms. Once you lock a room, no one can enter it, and they can't demand to enter it either. Alright, that sounds good to me. I have a question. Does the symbol on our collar change, or is it the same every round? What do you think, Devon? Do you think that I'd go and give you a single symbol that wouldn't change at all? Well, no, not really. Exactly, the symbols get randomized at the start of every round, so you'll never know what might be on your collar. Though in theory, it's possible that you might end up getting the same symbol over and over again because randomness just works like that. Anyway, the point I wanted to make was that the symbols on the collars can change. Best keep that in mind. Alright, just wanted to make sure is all. What happens if everyone dies at the same time? Huh? Is that even possible? Of course it's possible. Imagine we all get our symbol wrong for some reason. Then everyone dies at the same time, or roughly the same time anyway. Who wins in that case? Excellent question. I was hoping to keep that a surprise, but well, I guess it's only fair to tell you since you've asked. In the event that everyone dies, then the traitor will win. You're really giving the traitor a lot of advantages in this game, you know. Well, of course, they're going solo. They need to have things to be unfair for their side. Making things a ton more fun, too. I guess. How's the traitor going to know if they're the traitor? I doubt you're just going to up and announce it to everyone, right? That would be interesting, but obviously not. But you see, the traitor already knows who they are. Huh? What do you mean by that? I mean what I said. Once you entered the game room, the traitor got a mental message letting them know they were the traitor. Wait, are you serious? Of course I am. The traitor already knows who they are. The rest of you, well, you should have heard nothing in your head aside from your own thoughts. After all, my melodious voice is a hard one to forget. We all looked at one another suspiciously. The traitor already knew who they were. I wonder. Then, were they asking questions to get some idea on how to win? I don't think that anyone so far has said or done anything that would out themselves as a traitor. But they might just be really good at hiding their emotions. One last question, just for the sake of clarification. The trio will win if the traitor dies, and there's at least one trio member remaining, right? That's correct. So if they die, that's the end of the game under those conditions, right? We won't have to keep playing for the entire 4 rounds? Bingo. If you're a real ace at this and you can figure out who the traitor is and somehow die while a trio member survives, that's the end of the game. Got it, thank you for clarifying. In that case, the traitor is probably going to be on edge about screwing up really early. I'm not hearing any more questions, so I'll assume that you're all ready to play. Let's start by getting you all outfitted with these collars. Belle pulled out 4 collars and latched one of them onto each of our necks. They weren't uncomfortable, but it was still unsettling to be basically having a bomb attached to your neck. And obviously there wasn't a way to remove or adjust it from our neck to get a good view of them, which is probably the point. I'll make an announcement 4 minutes before the end of the round so that each of you can get yourselves into a room. The round begins now. Good luck and good fortune. And with a clap of her hands, Belle disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving the rest of us with a sense of unease and tension. So how are we going to go about this? What do you mean? I mean, how are we going to play? It's obvious that we're going to have to suss out the traitor one way or another, right? That's true, but there really isn't any obvious way to go about that. I doubt the traitor is going to willingly admit that they're, the traitor. Duh, who'd go and do that? Kishi seemed to be deep in thought as she looked at each of us. When you think about the setup of the game, it's pretty clear what Belle wants us to do. And that is? Wander around, having chance meetings, try to determine who's trustworthy and who isn't. Do we really got to wander around to do that? No, but do you really think we're going to solve anything by just staying huddled around together? Well, I mean, we're not going to find anything around the mansion, are we? So yes, we might as well just stand around or sit down. Well, for starters, we could at least confirm one another's symbols. Right, because we can't see our own, we need someone else to tell us what's on them. Seems to be the basic point of the game. Everyone, even the traitor, needs someone else to confirm what they've got and then or they're going to or they're going for a shot in the dark. We don't need to rush things. For now, it's best that we all stay alive and we try to think of a solution. You say that, but wouldn't the trader also want everyone to stay alive? If they survive for 4 rounds, then that's it, they win. Shouldn't we do something crazy to start? Like maybe we just lie to one another? Why the hell would we do that? I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. If the trader doesn't know what they've got, then that only leaves them a 25% chance of getting it right. More often than not, that means they're going to end up dead, but so are we. Yeah, but that also applies to us too. True, but think about statistics. Chances are that at least one of us gets it right. There's more of us than there are traders. Think of it like this. If there are 100 innocents and one trader, you'd expect around 25% innocents to survive this method, right? As long as the trader dies, as long as one innocent person is alive, it works out for us. Yeah, but we die, plus around 100 of us, there's only 3. Sure, the odds are a bit better, but still not foolproof. If the trader by some miracle gets it right, then they're likely going to win. Because if 2 of us die, then they'll win automatically, since it'll just be them and another innocent. Yeah, what are the odds of that? I don't know the math, but it seems likely, or at least somewhat possible. Sounds like you're really against the idea. Is it because you're the trader? Wow, you caught me, Zeph. I don't want to go along with this high-risk plan because I'm the trader. No, I'm against it because it's got a lot of flaws going for it. And you're being really pushy about this idea, so maybe you're the trader. You want to say that to my face? Did she not just say it to your face? Hey, let's not get flustered this early. We literally just got started. It's not a particularly bad idea, especially since the trio can sort of play around with their lives. What do you mean by that? You remember, right, Devon, the first game? Oh, you're talking about how the members of the team that won got brought back to life, right? Exactly. It's okay if only one or two of us die, as long as we're able to catch the traitor. In that sense, Zeph's not completely wrong, and that his strategy does have a good chance of working. Even if some of us die, as long as the traitor dies, the rest of us will be brought back to life. See, that's what I'm saying. Even so, we shouldn't do it. Not yet, anyway. Well, come on, Keisha, I thought you were on my side. Sorry, love, but I'm on no one's side until I can confirm things for myself. She gave Zeph a peck on the cheek and a soft pat on the shoulder. You understand, right? I can't trust you just because we're dating, you know. Sheesh, really? Don't pout, this is just how the game's played. Anyway, we should do as Richard suggested and look over each of our collars to see what symbol is there. After that, you can do whatever you want for the round. Fine. She really has you under her spell, huh? Shut up. Anyway, let's check one another's collars. We started with Richard's. You've got a halo on your collar. Yep, clear as day. No room for doubt there. Alright, that's good to hear. Next we move to Kishi. You have a skull. That's definitely a skull. That's not a bad sign, is it? Just because it's a skull doesn't mean I'm going to die. At least I'd hope not. After Kishi we did Zeph's. You got an infinity symbol. I can confirm it's an infinity symbol. It's sideways, by the way. Isn't it always sideways? Otherwise it'd be an 8. Yeah, I guess so. Or an ampersand. Clearly it's a sign that I'm going to make it to the end of the game. Guess we'll see. Finally everyone took a look at my collar. Devon's got a heart. Yep, it's a heart. Kind of cute curly heart. Maybe it means you got a big capacity for love. That or some kind of lingering heart problem I should check out. I wouldn't look so deep into the meaning. With each of our symbols certified, we again stood in awkward silence. So what now? Did you just wait for Belle's notification then go into a room? Zeph shrugged. Yeah, I guess. But I'm just going to check out the mansion. Might as well see what Belle's gaudy tastes end up looking like. With a wave, Zeph left the lounge and walked down to one of the hallways. I think I'll do some exploring as well. No point in just standing around. Kishi then left down a separate hallway. That just left Richard and I in the lounge. He seemed deep in thought. Hard to get a read on everyone. Are you suspicious of them already? Well, I mean, you sort of have to be, right? Someone in the group is obviously a traitor, and it's not me. I'm sure everyone except the traitor is thinking the same thing. Yeah, well, you could just say that I have a talent for being able to get a read on people. But I haven't seen anything really damning yet. Maybe it's because it's still early in the game. He shrugged and started walking down one of the halls. Anyway, I'm going to check upstairs and see if anything's interesting up there. What do you expect to find? Richard shrugged again. Not sure. Something? Nothing? Can't imagine that Belle would have given us a mansion with rooms to explore if there wasn't something we could use them for, right? Otherwise, this game could have been played in a much smaller room. Or maybe it's like Kishi said, and that the grandness of it is meant to facilitate small, intimate meetings where we can talk about our suspicions. Another shrug, and then he walked up to the next floor. Well, that just left me all alone. I should probably go and explore as well, but where should I go? I kind of want to talk with some of the others and see what they're thinking. They might have some insight. I should talk with... Oh, cool, we get to pick. Richard. Might as well go see what Richard's doing. I mean, he's got the empathy thing where he can, like, see what other people are thinking. He's probably somewhere upstairs. I wandered around the upper part of the mansion, eventually finding Richard in some kind of study. He appeared to be reading a book. Ah, Devon. So you followed me up here after all. Yeah, I was just kind of curious about this whole place. Well, this does look to be some kind of study or a place to read and relax. Do gods even need to read? I imagine they just know everything there is to know about the world and its existence. If someone writes a book, wouldn't you know the contents of it already? I guess it's an interesting question. Depends if you believe that Belle is omniscient. Aren't all gods omniscient and omnipotent? That depends on your view of God. Lots of cultures believe that God or many gods are like that, all-powerful and all-knowing, but there also exist other gods that have tremendous power and ability but aren't omniscient. I mean, think about it. There are countless stories of gods being tricked, fooled, and humbled. I doubt that if a god was omniscient, that they'd let those things happen to them. Unless they let it happen on purpose, which seems like a very ungodly thing to do. Unless their plans and plots go far beyond human comprehension. Well, what do you think? Is Belle all-knowing and all-powerful, or is she just filling this place with books because she likes the way it looks? He seemed deep in thought as he started looking into the pages of the book he was holding. This may seem like a cop-out answer, but I don't think that humans would really be able to tell. Huh? Don't you think that Belle's displays of magic and power warrant enough proof? Don't get me wrong. I do think that Belle is a god, and I do think she's extremely powerful. But that might just be because of our views on the matter are so limited. Limited? When we think of gods, we tend to have a certain view and vision of what they're like just because of our beliefs and culture. For many people, a god must be omniscient and omnipotent. Or they have dominion over some aspect of existence, like the sea, the sun, the wind, life, death, the underworld, and so on and so forth. I mean, Belle does have dominion over life and death, right? That's her thing. But there's no way to prove that such a being really exists. What are you talking about? Isn't this whole experience proof in and of itself? It might lead to the idea that such a being does in fact exist, but think about it this way. What do we really know about Belle? How do we know she's not some alien from a far-off galaxy that's so advanced they've transcended the barriers of life and death? What if they have the potential to tamper with and affect our world without even being seen? Then I'd say that you're a conspiracy theorist and you should get help. That was the first time I'd heard such an earnest chuckle out of him. Perhaps so, but it's an interesting idea, don't you think? You believe Belle's a god because of everything that she's done, right? I mean, yeah. She's brought back the dead. She's running this death game with a snap of a finger and seemingly transform and transmute animals into pizza. Does that make her a god? If it doesn't, then what does it make her? Richard shrugged, but it seemed that getting a rise out of me was entertainment enough for him. Something else entirely, something beyond human comprehension. Or maybe just out of reach of it. Here's a question for you. What if we don't believe she's a god? Does that make her any less of one if she actually is? It'd be like saying you don't believe that in birds, even when it pecks your brains out. Devon, that's absurd. Birds do exist, and they don't care if humans believe in them or not. That's my point. What I'm hearing is that the acts make the god. That something that looks like a god, acts like a god, must be a god, even if that's not the truth. Because Belle can do these wildly, seemingly impossible things, then she must be a being of immense power, possibly a god, right? Yeah. We don't need magic or actual godlike powers to do that sort of thing. If some individual or entity with amazing powers showed up on Earth and flaunted them around, I think a good portion of us would believe that they were a god, or at least a kind of god. Especially if they came in the visage of a human. It makes the whole act a lot easier to swallow than if they were something completely alien in appearance. Though that might make it believable too. And if that being had some form of super intelligence and knew of our history, that act would be even much more convincing, wouldn't it? I guess we'd think that something like that might be a god. Well, who's to say Belle isn't like that? But that's like, come on dude, she's certainly a god. She has to be. She's granting wishes. He chuckled again. He was really having fun with this, wasn't he? Well, it's possible you're right, and I'm just being obtuse about everything. Maybe she really is a god, or maybe she's just some advanced superorganism having fun with lesser beings. Who's to say? You know, I didn't expect you to be a pain to argue with. I probably picked that up from my father. Can't be helped. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come to speak with me on matters of faith, right? Yeah, there was something else I wanted to ask about. Considering the game we're in, what kind of strategy would you use? Strategy? You mean like some way to win? Yeah, you know, as an innocent. Well, I have been thinking about that for a bit. First thing that comes to mind is Zeph's idea of leaving it to chance. That's a scary idea. Yep, and honestly, I don't really think that it would work. You think we get unlucky and that the trader would somehow survive despite not knowing their symbol? Sort of. The thing is, I don't think that the trader is as helpless as we think they are. What do you mean by that? From a strategic point of view, the trader doesn't want to sow discord. They'd want things to go smoothly as possible, right? They want to be trustworthy. They want others to tell them what their mark is, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Do you know the best way to achieve that? Just being honest and trustworthy, right? Sort of. There's another more important step. It's finding a partner, someone that trusts you completely. If you have a partner, then you're both dependent on one another to survive. For example, let's imagine that Kishi and Zeph are a pair. Well, they kind of are, quite literally. Yes, that's the point. Anyway, imagine they're telling one another their symbols each round. If either of them lies and gets the other killed, we know about it and wouldn't trust the other pair, right? Yeah, that makes sense. If you're a trader, you wouldn't risk becoming suspicious, right? So you naturally keep being honest. The problem is that because of the limited amount of rounds, we probably wouldn't stick to the strategy. As innocents, we'd have to be proactive and find some way to get the trader killed off. So we should, in theory, avoid ideas that just keep everyone alive. So then, that pair idea is getting tossed out the window, huh? I mean, it kind of has to. We can't rely on the trader to simply out themselves. So I suspect the trader is likely trying to figure out some plan to promote some kind of execution or killing so as to blend in. But I just keep hitting a sort of roadblock with that thinking. Does that have to do with the fact that our trader wanting to kill people is somehow expected and not suspicious? No, actually that's not the problem. The thing is I'm trying to figure out is how the trader plans to survive. Let's say we decide we're going to vote someone out. Select someone to be a sacrificial lamb, so to speak. We choose not to tell them what their symbol is, and that person happens to be the trader. How does the trader survive in that situation? Guess? Well, I guess they beg and plead for someone to tell them their symbol, right? Well, that's certainly one option, but that only makes you look more suspicious. Well, it's certainly a bad deal. As an innocent, you can actually afford to die and possibly win the game and be revived later. So if you start getting frantic, it only makes you look guilty. The exception is if there are 3 people left and you're innocent and you get voted up, at that point, you know that you've lost. But still, there's no doubt a myriad of plans that could end up getting you killed. So how does the trader navigate through that and keep themselves from getting offed? I can really only think of 2 scenarios. And those are? The first is that the trader will only offer solutions that could possibly have them survive. Possibly a flawed solution that seems to make sense on paper but will allow them to survive if things get dicey. This way they can at least propose ideas that won't suddenly lead to their death, you know? They'd be in control. Alright, that makes sense. So what's the second? The second is a bit more confusing. It might be that the trader has some ability or trick that will ensure their own survival if we don't take matters into our own hands. What do you mean by that? It's just a thought, but what if the trader had some ability to know what their own symbol was, without relying on help from others or something like that? But how would that work? There aren't any reflective surfaces around to use, and I doubt that they'd be allowed to remove or adjust their collar. Right? I don't know. Belle certainly doesn't have any reflective surfaces, but there might also be a trick in the rules or something else entirely. After all, Belle did say that she told the trader who they were secretly. Maybe she told them something else, some way to know their symbol without needing anyone's help. Or maybe she told them herself. But it's got to be against the rules somewhere, right? It's her rules. I don't believe Belle ever specified anything like that. Most of her rules were about rooms, how many people can be in them when locked, who can go where, stuff like that. She did mention the collar's symbols change at the start of each new round as well, so it's possible the trader is cheating in some way that lets them know what their collar symbol is. Which might explain why Belle put in various rules that would essentially allow us to execute one another. If we can't win by making the trader call out the wrong symbol, we'd have to do something like force him into a room with someone else and then lock it. I never thought about it. Again, don't take it as some kind of absolute truth. I was just thinking about it from the perspective of the trader. We need to keep a lot of options open if we're going to survive. Fair enough. It's good to keep your options open. Glad to see it that way. I have a feeling I can trust you. I appreciate it, but how are you so sure? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy you trust me, but aren't you a little suspicious? I was at first, but when talking to you, I feel like I got a good read on you. I didn't sense or see any kind of fear or trepidation in your eyes. Can you see that kind of stuff in people's eyes? Yeah, it's a special talent. Then why don't you try it out on everyone? It's not quite that simple. Do you think that if I asked everyone if they were a traitor, I'd just be able to look in their eyes and see if they were lying or not? Is that how it works? No, it's more like empathy. You can get a read for what people are feeling. If you accuse someone of being a traitor, whether they're a traitor or not, they're probably going to get frantic or fearful. It's like getting accused for a murder you didn't do. Even if you know you're innocent, you're going to get angry, scared, and fearful. Culprits will be the same way, so I can't just look for someone and figure out their entire deal. And how'd you figure out I was innocent? Simple. You get a read on them while they think they're not under suspicion. Well, I say it's simple, but it's not foolproof either. It's kind of like when you were talking, I was trying to get a read if you were nervous, anxious, or anything like that. But you seemed genuinely calm and curious, not really all that freaked out or scared. So naturally, I figured that you probably weren't trying to cover up anything or get ideas on how to survive this as a traitor. I see. Then are you going to try that with the others? Yeah, probably. No guarantee it'll work though. But it's worth a shot anyway. Well, if it's as useful as you say it is, then it'll come in handy. It must be nice being able to know what people are feeling just with an eye glance. It wasn't something I was always able to do, actually. Really? So what, was it a skill you trained up? Not even that, it was like... It just happened. Suddenly I was able to look at people and get a sense for what they were feeling. It just happened randomly? That's kind of weird. You're telling me. Imagine how I felt when one day I woke up and suddenly I'm in tune with everyone's emotions. It was freaky, honestly. I thought I was going crazy. I got scared. I thought there was something wrong with me. Was that bad? Well, how do you think you'd feel if you suddenly woke up and you were able to read people's emotions? I think it'd be a superpower? Well, let me tell you, it didn't feel like that at the time. If anything, it was overwhelming. Before I could control it, I started to actively avoid looking people in the eye, just so I wouldn't be bombarded with their feelings. And I already had a hard enough time with folks before that. Sorry, I didn't think it would end up being such a big issue. You don't have to apologize, it's not your fault. Eventually I learned how to sort of control it, in a sense. At least mute it out when I didn't want to bother with it. So it's manageable now. Well, that's a relief at least. But I still kind of wonder what happened to me, you know? I don't believe that people just turn into empaths overnight. Having weird powers and changes thrust onto you feels weird. Do you think it was like magic or something? Considering everything else happening around here, I'm more liable to believe that magic is involved somehow. I guess it's possible, I wouldn't know a thing about it though. Just randomly happened to me 12 years ago. I don't think I'd wished on a shooting star or anything. Maybe it was a wish made here. No, I don't think so. Why not? Belle grants wishes. What if someone wished you to make you a super empath? Belle doesn't grant those kind of wishes. How do you know? Well, I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's what I've been told. What do you mean you've been told? You know about this place? My father knows about this place, and I learned everything I know about it from him. And even then, he's kind of cryptic about it. And how does your dad know? He played in the game a long time ago, like 40 years or so back. Really? And he survived? I wouldn't be here if he didn't. That's... okay, yeah, that makes sense. But if that's all true, then how do you suppose you suddenly were able to read people's emotions? I don't know. He patted and looked over at some books. Well, that's not completely true. I have an inkling, but it's not exactly concrete. And it's not really worth worrying about. If you say so. Yeah, well, I don't want to eat up any more of your time. I'm probably just going to read through more books until the round ends. Alright, I'll leave you to your reading then. Yep, catch you later. With that, I left the study and went back to the foyer. I'm going to have time to check in one other person. After that, I'll probably have to go and announce my symbol in a room somewhere. Alright, with that, we're going to wrap this one up here because we're out of time once again. But in the next episode, we're going to finish up our game of... I forgot what this game is called. Trustful... anyway. Should be interesting. Maybe we're going to learn more about Richard. That'll be pretty interesting. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.